Hey everyone! Welcome back to my channel. I am Little Fawn. Now, I know usually on Friday nights I post a channeled, either a transcript that we go through or a live channeling video, but this week has been a week here in the land of where I live. So I thought I would just come on and just share with you what we just went through. Because I feel like it was such a it was a master class basically in a lot of the things that my guides have been talking about, which is witnessing, moving through, experiencing this very high contrast time and era that we're in. Also facing fear and choosing love. Loving that fear back into the light, all of these things we got to experience very intensified in the past like 36 hours. So I'm just going to tell the story, and that's going to be our Friday kind of hang. So for those of you who don't know, in 2023, I think, yeah, like almost 2 years ago, we adopted a blind kitten. We weren't looking for another cat. We have two panthers, Pablo and Huggy Bear. I'll post pictures so that you can see their magnificence. But we weren't looking for another cat. And then when I saw the picture of this kitten, it came through somebody I didn't even know and who now has become a really, really good friend. So, yay. I got a kitten and a friend. But he was very much a catalyst. So in 2023, he was a catalyst for massive change. My partner and I were kind of in a rut with our living situation. We have a joke about staying past your expiration date somewhere because it's comfortable or it's easy, but energetically it was anything but easy. So we ended up overstaying when we should have moved probably I apologize. I live in a very busy street and we're coming to the end of rush hour. So anyway, yay for loud hoopty cars. So yeah, we were just in this space that even though the rent was cheap and the location was great, it wasn't serving us. In fact, it was pulling our energy down. We were very much stuck in a lot of ways. So when I chose to adopt the cat, I knew ultimately that we were going to have to move because where we were wasn't going to sanction a third cat, even though it's kind of like, well, we already have two. What's one more? So he ended up being the catalyst, this little boy, for us to lift up and out of there. And even though that time of our lives, and I do yearly tarot readings for myself and for people, and I don't do them predictively, but I do them kind of prescriptively to read the energy of each month. And I usually do like two separate decks, and one deck is the energy of, and the other deck is helpful energy to help like navigate and create and thrive during those energies. Anyway, so I had pulled the Tower card upside down in like January for the month of August. And I was like, oh, there's going to be a massive change, but there's going to simultaneously be some resistance, and also I'm going to initiate it. And then lo and behold, I was like, hey, I'm going to adopt this kitten knowing that I'm going to get pushback from all directions, and there's probably going to be upheaval, which there was, and there was. So we moved, and we're in a much better place. The apartment we're in now is beautiful, and exactly the right location, exactly what we needed. And our landlord is people. She's a harmonic frequency match. We live above her holistic center, which also serves as a space for me to be able to host workshops and stuff. Anyway, I am digressing because Italian, it's what we do. God forbid we tell a straight line story. Anyway, so that was Archie's kind of entrance into the world. And since we've had him, it has been, he was rescued from a massive hoarding situation. his double enucleation was a result of that, the lack of catching something that would have been a nothing and ended up in him needing to not have eyes. But he's a magic amazing. He's a gray stripy tabby tiger of a boy, and he's literally bouncy. And he's amazing. He's fearless. You forget he's blind because he's just so good at being. He maps, he echolocates. There are considerations because he doesn't see. You learn to use your voice a lot more. You don't just go in right to the top of his head like you would to smush little kittens. So we've been learning together with him and with the other two cats. And so everything was like harmonious. And so this month I also do like a monthly, just as I go, like, hey, what's the archetype of the month? And I usually pull, because I have a lot of decks, so I like to love them all. So my very first tarot deck that I bought for me before I even knew what it was or how to use it, is the one I use for that. And it was the Tower card, and I was like, I wonder what that moment will be. And we got it. And it was with Archie again. That's his name, Archer, but we call him Archie. We take them outside for little outings. I don't know why that was so proper, but little outings so they can get their paws on the earth. But because we're above a business and next to businesses, it's all parking lot behind us. And they've all sort of gotten used to it. It's a busy street out front, so we don't take them there. And sometimes we would harness them up, but we've gotten a little lax with that because they don't go anywhere. They stay with us, except for Huggy Bear, the little bear Black Panther. He likes to wander, and when he's outside, he's just fearless. He's like, I'm gonna check this out and smell this and do this. And he went off through like a hole in the fence that separates the parking lot from like the houses behind us. And my partner went to get him, and Archie was like right there. And best guess is that he smelled something simultaneously with Louis coming back through kind of the overgrowth back there, and was like, smell of something that could eat me, big giant thing coming through tall shrubbery. And like, I wasn't outside, so he lost his mind apparently. Louis was like, he freaked out. He was on his back, like shadow boxing the air. He was hissing and crazy, but then he like calmed down, and he said he walked himself. They all know where home is, so when they get freaked out, they usually go right to our door. So they were all there, and they came up, and I was in the shower. So I came out, and everybody was there. And then I don't know what happened, but switch, that's the word I'm looking for, a switch flipped, and all of a sudden Archie became full-on feral, is the only way to describe it. The other two boys I'm so grateful for, because they're so soft, and they're just so compassionate, and they just kind of looked at him, not threatened at all, which was great, because it would have been real bad if they all freaked out. So he freaked out and started like hissing and growling and getting crazy. He ended up in the bedroom, which was good, and we shut the door, and we're like, okay, maybe he'll calm down. And that was the beginning of the 36 hours where sounds that came out of that poor thing were unlike shrieks and screams and howls and growls and hisses, and he was so scared. And his foster was like, send me an audio or a video of the noise, so that, because nobody could get near him, let's figure out if he's hurt, like if it's the wail of some, like an animal that's hurt, or if he's scared. And I caught it and sent it. She was like, oh, he's terrified. And he would be quiet when he was alone, but as soon as we came in the room, he didn't feel safe anywhere or with anyone. He would just smash himself in a corner. Like, he was in fear. He was actually fear. And it was heartbreaking, and it was terrifying, because even though he wasn't aggressive in the sense that he was attacking or coming at anybody, he was just this ball of fear energy that was so powerful that it was like triggering it in us. So we had to learn to kind of exhale it as best as we could, so that we could still be like a frequency of light for him to eventually creep into a harmonic. And you know, there's many, we could have taken him to the vet, but that would have involved like throwing a blanket over him, bagging him, putting him at, like, traumatizing him. They would have had to sedate him, or we would have had to try to sedate him. And he's blind. So my partner and I agreed to mute or dull or take away any of his other senses. Just felt cruel to us. So we had to just bear witness, and look fear dead in the face, and send it love. So the other two boys, I was joking with Louie. I said, you know, we're so fortunate to have two soft, just pure love beings in Pablo and Huggy Bear. And we put them in my little studio here, the good window seats in here, and gave them everything they needed, their food, their water, their toys, their litter box. And it was like they knew. They didn't fight it. They didn't succumb. And I was, you know, journaling about all of it, because there wasn't a whole lot of sleep. We were exhausted. We were scared. We didn't know if we were doing the right thing or what the right thing even was. But everything just felt like we kind of had to wait it out for at least 24 hours to see before we started implementing tactics that would have kind of added stress, and maybe would have helped, but maybe not, especially since we were 99.9% sure that there was no physical, you know, he didn't hurt himself. But Huggy Bear was interesting to watch, because I said to Louie, I was like, look at how he's just chosen his timeline. He knows what's going on, and he's like, okay, that's like we said, that's a choice, and my choice is to come in here. And I have a picture that I'll actually post. I'll post here so you guys can see it. There's a picture that I caught through the door over there, and Pablo was in this window seat, and Pablo, so they're astrological signs. Huggy Bear is a Leo, and Pablo is a Cancer. So Pablo is the alpha, but he's such a mush and such a benevolent ruler to the kittens. He's so compassionate, even though sometimes we're like, oh man, why are you hissing? Don't hiss at him. And I've come to realize that he's the master. He shows the new ones how to cat. He teaches them about respect and boundaries. And then when you win him over, which Archie had done, and he lets you play with him, and it's like a gift, and they know it, and it creates this beautiful dynamic of harmony among them. So now Archie has to re-earn that back with Pablo a little bit, but Huggy Bear just chose his timeline. And we watched it, because when I would come into this room to spend time with these guys, and just decompress on my own, the vibration was higher. You would walk in the door and it was a completely different timeline, completely different energy. And it's because Pablo's a master space holder, Huggy Bear is a master space clearer, and they just stayed in their lane. And Huggy Bear, again, the picture that the picture, he's just passed out on the floor like, whatever, zero shits given. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, this is where I am. We'll be here when he's done. But Pablo, when you zoom in on his face, he's sitting up in his perch, but the look in his eyes is just so heartbreakingly beautiful, because he's so concerned. And he was the first one, when he started freaking out, to actually go. He didn't run away, he went over to him. He was like, are you okay? And that's what they do for each other, which is sweet. He and Huggy Bear, if one of them is like coughing, sometimes Huggy Bear will wheeze, Pablo comes over and it's like, are you okay? If somebody's hit, like whenever they're in distress, it's like their instincts are to be like, hey, are you good? What's going on? So we were really fortunate, and we said it could have been a triple hellscape. But I was texting my one friend like Captain's log, 5:30 in the morning. We are hostages in our own house. But ultimately we were like, we can't be hostages in our own house. We have to kind of like just suck it up that it's gonna feel like. And I joked with my one friend, because I have a few kitten rescue friends who are also like my people best friends, and I was like, it felt like we lived a whole year inside of one single day. Like, that's how much was inside this small space. And because I am me, I did a lot of energy work on the space. I did a lot of energy work on the area where we thought. And then, you know, Louis was like, come to think of it, last night I noticed that there was a strange energy in the back of the parking lot, and then I forgot about it because it was like 4 a.m. and I got out to pee. So we were able to circle back and kind of clean up some loose bits that were floating around, some little holes in the force field, so to speak. And I was able to really sit and diffuse, do Reiki on Archie, and just do a little quantum healing within the space and for him, and just kind of was like, listen, he's in the bedroom, it's the best place for him. If we're on the if we sleep tonight or don't sleep tonight, it is what it is. I only had one student the next day, so I just canceled. And was like, I'm in it. And you know, it did suck, because we were like, you know, what is the best? So anyway, after I did like a full remote Reiki healing on him, it was probably around 4:30 in the morning, we started to hear just like little scratches at the door, like normal sounds. And when I tell you, it was like anytime we went in the room, or it was chilling. So we let him out, because the other boys were in here, and he's all slinky, and he ran down the stairs. The stairwell coming up, because we're second floor, is like another safe place for them. Like, Pablo hates the rain, so they like it. There's no windows, it's closed. It's like it's just the stairwell coming up. So he went down there, and then he started to come up, and but he was eating, which was good. So we're like, all right, let's get him situated, and let's get him a little more food maybe. But there was still no getting near him. If you walked, he was like bracing himself. He was freaked out. He was, you know, screaming and shrieking and all of that. So I think we ultimately got him to be out in the main area, and we went into the, I'm delirious, sorry. We went into the bedroom and we shut the door. And we tried to sleep, except the other funny thing was, I'm working with a violet essence, not like an essential oil, but like the actual flower that you take internally. And Violet, one of her gifts is lucid dreaming or vivid dreaming. Like, if you have questions and you want answers in the dream time, that's the essence to work with, whether you use the essential oil or you work a protocol with the flower essence as a tincture. So I'm in the middle of a protocol with that. I was like, okay, it's like 5 a.m. and I'm going to bed now. This ought to be interesting. And the entire time, which was only about 3 hours that I was asleep, I was dreaming. It's funny, a friend of mine that passed away a few years ago was a captain on like a little cruise ship I used to work on and sing on. And he was in the dream, and he was like, hey, listen, that there's a place I know you want to get to, and it's not gonna be the easiest path there. Like, these waters are choppy, it's not super great, but I know the way and I can take you there, so think about it. And I was like, all right, I'll think about it. And then the next second in my dream, I was like, but like, we're already in the water. I didn't think about it. I don't think I wanted to do this, but here I am on the ship. And immediately it was like super stormy. It was dark. The sky was black. The sea was going nuts. He had an awareness of something that was going on above deck, and he was like, holy moly, people were getting like sick everywhere. I mean, it was like the worst. But I was actually like, I held it together. I was like, okay. And then I woke up and I was like, I really have to pee. And I'm so thirsty because I left my water somewhere and I don't know where it is, but I didn't want to go out there. I was like, I can't go out there and have, and freak him out and then freak myself out. And it's like 6 a.m. and I've only slept and I can't. So I went back to sleep. But when I went back to sleep, the sun had come out. Like, I picked up right where I left off in the dream, not consciously, it's just what happened because it wasn't done. And the sun had started to come out, and it was like we were in the swells post-storm, but it wasn't like choppy. And he was like, you're gonna basically you're gonna like where you're going. You're not quite there yet, but the rough part is over. And then when I finally did wake up for real, I was like, talk about a freaking metaphor and literal analysis and words from your higher self, your guides, the angels, because I was working with them all night long. But they were like, the rough bit is over. There's still a little bit more, but this is, keep doing what you're doing, basically. Just wait out the storm essentially as best you can. And when I woke up, he was like growly or whatever, and we had some moments where it was like, it wasn't as bad, like the shrieking had stopped, thank God, but there were still growls and hisses or whatever. And then all of a sudden it was like he broke. And the only other time it ever happened to me is when one of my best friends, she has a semi-feral cat named Vinny, because a little coyote ate his one ear. And he wasn't like aggressive or anything, but he only liked her and her son. And I would come and visit every year, and it was my mission in life to have him accept me, but I never forced it. I was like, I'm here, I got him used to my voice. I think it was the 3rd year that I came, we were sitting on the couch, and you just felt it, like he made the decision, and he came over and just started headbutting me and rubbing all over me and like wanting to show me his toys. Sarah was crying and she's like, no one gets to see this. And that's what happened with Archie. All of a sudden it was like snap, and as quickly as he went in, he went most of the way out, and he started rubbing around our feet, and he started like his little ticker chirps, and we were just sitting very 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 still on the chairs at our little kitchen bar. It's like one of those little islands that's like a table and shelves, because like I said, small apartment. But he felt safe with us on those 2 stools, so we were kind of like sitting there, and we'd been eating breakfast or making breakfast, and all of a sudden it was like, and then he started grooming himself in front of us, and then he was rubbing, and it was like he wanted to let us know, especially Louis, who felt so bad because he's the one that was out there and they weren't harnessed or anything like that. He rubbing all over our hands and letting us pet him, and then I fed him a little churro snack, and we were like, holy crap. But then it was like, but it wasn't 100%, because then you would get up and like move to a certain part of the house that he now associated with fear, because all of the energy was still there. And he would growl and he would tuck back in. So it was finally, I think it was finally last night. This all started like Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And I think it was last night when we got a baby gate so he could start to see the other 2. And I know this is a very long story, and if you're still here, awesome. But the whole point in it all was that he's fine now. He literally had a dark night of the soul and took us all with him for the ride, but he was so inside of his fear, and the only thing to do was to witness it. And like, very high contrast, like I said, it was extreme shadow, so the only thing to do was to witness it, and then to offer the harmonic, not insist like, oh, you're fine, it's fine, like to be kind of like, no, you need to be here where we're comfortable. We had to just be uncomfortable. We had to, once we knew that he wasn't aggressive and he wasn't hurt, that he was just scared, it was like we just had to let him learn how to trust. Like, we had to let him figure it out by vibrating a harmonic that he was able to meet, and that harmonic would be different every 5 minutes, every moment. We had to just figure it out, like, okay, And the important thing was, again, was frequency, our voices, and talking to him. And again, when I was doing my meditation today in gratitude, when you're in stuff like that, it would have been very easy for Louie and I to be arguing, for the other two cats to be freaked out and to be causing problems, and exacerbating everything. But instead, every single one of us, four-leggeds and two-leggeds alike, just leaned into our gifts. Louis, he's a Virgo. He would do the practical things. All right, we'll get the baby gate, and I'll make sure to, the litter boxes are where they need to be, and the food, and the this, and cleaning up, and Archie was so scared. He was under the couch, and then he like pooped under there, and it was like great. And then once we got it, like he would clean, like he was doing all of that stuff so that I could sit and read the energy and transmute the energy and alchemize what was here so that we could be accepting of the fear in whatever state it was, but also giving it opportunities to transmute and to transmute and to lift and to lift and to lift. And so that worked well. And then Pablo was sitting over here just literally vibrating compassion, like 150% just vibrating it. And then Huggy Bear was just vibrating acceptance, complete acceptance. And so they were creating this timeline in the other room that was a harmonic that didn't need the fear not to exist, but would eventually invite the fear to lift out of the dissonance. We've talked about the chords, the C and the D together, and you can't make them not be what they are, but if you play that G, that D might move to E, and now you have an open, beautiful chord. The sun is like setting over here. I'm blind. But you have that open, beautiful chord. And that's what we were actively practicing and implementing. And with spirituality and with energy work and frequency work and quantum healing and anything that's subtle body, all of this stuff that we're moving into is subtle body, and it's like seemingly innocuous, but it's big. It's huge, and it's one thing to talk about it and to have knowledge of it, but until you practically apply it, it doesn't mean anything. And we had this beautiful opportunity, even though inside of those 36 hours it did not feel beautiful. We had this beautiful opportunity to step into a master class, and now because of it, we have the blueprint for success in that type of a scenario. We all came together, and that's the other thing. In these times now, coming together and amplifying a frequency. So the four of us who were still, intact, just wanted to restore harmony and restore peace, but not in a way that was unaccepting of the fact that there was a very real shadow at play, a very real fear at play. And so we restored it by just emitting acceptance, emitting compassion, and doing the frequency work that would allow for each one of our lights to come together and be the word that they gave me the other night when we were doing new moon card pulls right before the chaos, was to fatten the frequency. So when you discover a frequency, and at the other end of that waveform is the goal, is the thing, when you fatten that frequency, it's a much clearer path, it's a much stronger resonance, it's much easier to split the difference, to close the gap. So we fattened the frequency, we put it into practice almost immediately as that concept was kind of given to me. And because of that, Archie was able to feel the light coming from us and choose it, because it wasn't being forced on him. So we just all held space together, and it was, like I said, very, very powerful, because then moving forward, when you have to literally look at fear, this furry, wailing, shrieking, screaming, shadowboxing ball of furry fear, you look it in the face, and you I love you. We just kept saying it over and over again. I love you. It's okay. I love you. and just letting those tones be all he knew inside of that space, so that eventually he could kind of like, and you would see him like shake out and then kind of go in and then snap out. And he, on a soul level, transmuted and cleared so much of all the trauma that he was born with and born into, so much of that shed through his own willingness. Because we were talking too, like, I wonder if, like, would this have happened? Like, because Louis was, like I said, he felt bad because he's like, you keep telling me that we should only go out together and he should always be harnessed, and I didn't do either of those things, and so it's my fault. And I was like, the fault game isn't going to help anyone or anything right now. Can we learn from it? Sure. Are they all grounded right now? 100%, except for Pablo. But in the meantime, we just have to deal with what's in front of us. There's no point in blaming. We have to heal, and blame doesn't heal anything. And that's another very valid lesson in this kind of mastery game, this master class that is the human experience. It's like, no, it just is. And so he was like, would it have happened if I hadn't gone out there? And I was like, we don't know the answer to that, but my guess is yes, because it was in him. It was in him to come out. So now it's out, and now the reset has happened, and he's literally like a kitten again, like a brand new kitten. He's doing things that he did when he was like a little bebe when we first got him. He's little, I used to call it his Charlie Brown voice, like wah, 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 wah. Like he has these little Tigger mumbles that are so cute, and he's doing that again, which he hasn't done in a while. There's all sorts of little things, like, so it's like an obvious rebirth when you watch him. And as hard as it was, it's also so beautiful, because once you're through, just like my dream, it can suck, it can be chaos. And Archie kind of has been a little chaos agent since he's been here. Once you're through it though, the quantum leap that you're able to take is unlike anything else that could happen if it was just status quo, the same. So again, it was a brilliant master class and practical application of all of this wisdom that has been coming through, as far as like acceptance and compassion and fattening the frequency and choosing love and not pushing away the shadow, but embracing the shadow, accepting the shadow, and loving it into the light. And that's what we did with him. And then we had to do it with ourselves, because again, it triggers, like even last night when we were pretty sure everything was back to normal, I was like, for my sake, for my little fawn, this was traumatizing for all of us' sake. We could leave the bedroom door open tonight, but I can't. I need us all in our rooms one last night, so that I can sleep. And so I gave that gift for myself, and to everyone. Everyone had that. And now today it's a fully integrated household, but we're integrated on a higher octave frequency spectrum, which they showed me in my gratitude meditation earlier today when I reset this space. So yeah, just the only way through is through, so don't be afraid of it. There's always a choice, there are an infinite number of ways in which we can experience something, express something, learn something. So if you continue to choose love and continue to choose acceptance and continue to choose compassion, something that could have taken weeks, something that could have had an outcome that was very different, ended up being just this concentrated time, like I said, of 36 hours. But now it's like, it's cleared, because we did it together, and he did it on his own, inside of that togetherness. And that again is what fattening the frequency is. It's like you lend your home frequency to that bass tone in a way that creates those harmonics that allow space for somebody who may be way over here to find a resonance inside of that spectrum and kind of navigate their way back to the light. So yeah, it's been a very wild ride. We're still very tired, but everybody is happy, everybody is healthy, and next week I will return with I don't know what it'll be. It'll either be the next installment of the Asha Files, because we still have a few of those left, or if they decide they have something else to say, they will let me know. Like I said, it's not up to me. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for sitting with me for this half an hour or whatever it was, and listening to my tale of ferocity. Dark night. My friend was laughing. I was like, Hims took his eye. I was like, maybe he ate a berry or something, and now he's on his ayahuasca trip, and he purged all his demons, and he's a brand new boy. But yeah, pay attention to the energy, pay attention to your animals, to your kids. They're such a good barometer for energy in like a pure, kind of unfiltered, over thought out way. How they respond or react is probably closer to the truth of what a frequency is than us trying to kind of go justify or whatever. So, and just pay attention to your heart. Drop into your heart. That's what saved us, because our brains could and started to take us down some, really like, oh my God, what if, how can we, he can't, this place is too, like, there were so many things going through, and we were very good at stopping ourselves and stopping each other. We're like, no, and dropping back into the heart and opening that space up and just being strong enough to sit with it. Just sit with it and witness it and hold space in the harmonic of love, so that we could, again, I'll say it again because it's so important, love the shadow into light. And we did it together. It took a team. So be kind to each other, lift each other up, bear witness, even if it's uncomfortable, because in doing so, you not only offer that light to somebody else, but you elevate your own frequency in a way, again, that will fatten it and make it radiate even fuller and larger, but still soft, inviting, like a glow instead of a floodlight. It's like this kind of like firefly glow that just keeps getting more and more expanded, and more beautiful as we all just lean in. So yeah, hug your fur babies tonight, hug each other, and I will catch you guys next week. I love you.